If you're over 60 years old, you've probably never imagined that a simple daily routine, something that's been part of your life for decades, could transform into a silent threat capable of triggering a stroke within just a few hours. And the most terrifying part? No clear warning signs, no chest pain, no advance notice that would allow you to call for help in time. You walk into what should be the safest room in your home, your bathroom, and within minutes, you could emerge with your life forever changed. My name is Priscilla Morales, and throughout more than 2 decades supporting mature adults with brain health and cardiovascular issues, what strikes me most aren't the obvious cases. Those who smoked for years or already suffered from serious heart conditions. What truly concerns me, what makes me reflect every single day, are the people who seem to be in excellent health. They watched their diet carefully, stayed physically active, followed their doctor's recommendations, and still ended up in the emergency room struggling to speak, losing movement, facing a future marked by dependency. The most disturbing part is that all of this can begin with something seemingly trivial, your daily shower. What I'm about to share with you now will probably surprise you because this information is rarely mentioned in health magazines, quick medical consultations, or even hospital reports. Neither family members nor friends, and often not even doctors themselves, connect certain bathing habits with stroke risk. But there are 5 silent customs that can set the stage for tragedy. And the worst part? They happen every single day in thousands of homes with people just like you. Before we continue, I want to ask you something very important. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, take advantage now and activate the notification bell. Every week I share practical, simple, and vital information for those who've already passed 60 and want to live with more strength, clarity, and independence. If this topic has already caught your attention, leave your like and tell me in the comments what your preferred bathing habit is. This gesture may seem small, but it also helps other people reflect on their own health. Now let me share a story that profoundly marked my career trajectory. Maria, 73 years old, was an active, independent woman full of energy. She lived alone in Madrid, in the same house for over 4 decades. For her, the hot bath at 9 p.m. every night was a sacred ritual. It helped relieve her aches, helped her relax, and prepared her body for a peaceful night's sleep. But on one seemingly ordinary Tuesday, everything changed. 20 minutes after leaving the bathroom, while drying herself, Maria began feeling dizzy and nauseated. The next morning, her daughter found her in critical condition. She could barely speak, couldn't move her right arm, and one side of her face had drooped. The diagnosis was clear. A stroke had stolen away, in just a few hours, all the independence she valued so much. And the trigger for this disaster was precisely that bath that seemed so harmless. What Maria didn't know, and almost nobody knows, is that after 60 years of age, our bodies no longer respond the same way as before. Blood vessels lose elasticity, the heart works with more effort, and blood pressure regulation becomes much more fragile. What seemed safe in youth can become a dangerous trap with aging. That's why today I want to show you in detail what the 5 bathing habits are that can dramatically increase stroke risk, and above all, what you can do to protect yourself with simple changes. Dangerous habit number 1, very hot showers before bedtime. Do you know that feeling of absolute relief when hot water runs over your body, relaxing tired muscles, calming aching joints, and seeming to erase the day's fatigue? It's tempting, right? But when water temperature exceeds 40 degrees Celsius, blood vessels dilate rapidly, like balloons inflating. This sudden dilation causes an abrupt drop in blood pressure, in some cases 20 to 30 points within minutes. For a young person with flexible arteries, this process might even go unnoticed. But in someone over 60, whose vessels no longer have the same elasticity, this drop can be extremely dangerous. The heart needs to work harder to pump blood, and the brain can be momentarily deprived of the oxygen it needs. This isn't just about a passing dizzy spell. This drastic reduction in blood flow creates the perfect scenario for clot formation that can travel to the brain and block arteries within minutes. I'll never forget Antonio's story, a retired 78-year-old teacher living in Barcelona. For over 15 years, he maintained the same ritual. Every single day, he ended his night with a scalding 20-minute shower. He said it was his therapy session. But one particular night, just minutes after leaving the shower, Antonio collapsed in his bedroom. His wife found him with one side of his mouth drooping and unable to speak words. At the hospital, tests confirmed the worst. A clot had formed precisely after the sharp pressure drop caused by the hot water and ended up obstructing an essential brain artery. What seemed like self-care was actually the trigger for tragedy. That's the lesson. At 70, the body no longer responds like it did at 40. Every very hot shower can be like playing Russian roulette with your circulatory system. And this is just the beginning. If you think the problem lies only in water temperature, wait until you learn about the next habit, which can be even more dangerous because it combines other internal factors with the impact of bathing. If the first dangerous habit already put you on alert, prepare yourself, because the second can be even more treacherous. It involves the combination of two factors that separately already require care, but together can become a time bomb for the brain, showering right after eating or after taking medications. Think with me, how many times do you finish dinner, take your nighttime medicines, and to relax, decide to go straight to the shower? It seems like a harmless routine, even logical, right? But in practice, that combination can put your circulation into collapse. After an abundant meal, the body automatically diverts a considerable portion of blood flow toward the digestive system. This is normal because it needs energy to process food. The problem is that during this time, the brain receives less blood and oxygen for several minutes. If on top of that you enter the shower with hot water, the body sends even more blood toward the skin. The result? The brain, which is command central, ends up working on dangerously low power. And it's not just food that matters. Certain medications, especially those for blood pressure, some cardiac drugs, and even painkillers, also alter circulation dynamics. This means the risk of a sharp pressure drop during the shower multiplies when these factors combine. I remember well the case of Isabel, a 76-year-old lady living in Seville. For years, she had the same ritual. She'd have dinner, take her hypertension medication, and immediately head to the hot shower before sleeping. For her, it was the perfect way to guarantee a good night's sleep. But on one ordinary night, that custom nearly cost her life. 10 minutes after entering the shower, Isabel began feeling the world spinning. When they found her collapsed on the floor, she was already unconscious. Paramedics confirmed it. Her blood pressure had plummeted and a clot formed in a weakened artery, blocking the brain region responsible for speech. Isabel survived, but she never communicated with the same clarity again. This episode reinforces a harsh but essential truth. The moment you choose to shower can be as important as the water temperature. The aging brain tolerates abrupt drops in circulation less and less. And if blood flow decreases for too long, small clots begin to form. It only takes one of them traveling to the wrong place to cause a stroke. But if you think the dangers are limited only to very hot water or the wrong bathing time, you need to know about the third habit, perhaps the most surprising of all, because it involves something present in every home that almost nobody considers risky. Dangerous habit number 3. Long showers in unventilated environments. Imagine the scene. You close the bathroom door, turn on the shower nice and hot, and let steam fill the environment, transforming it into a kind of personal sauna. The sensation is delicious, almost an accessible luxury. The heat relaxes tired muscles, and for a few minutes it seems like you're being renewed. However, this comfort can be a silent trap. Steam doesn't just fog mirrors, it also gradually reduces the amount of oxygen in the air. At the same time, hot water dilates blood vessels and causes blood pressure to drop. When you combine oxygen depletion with already slower, unstable circulation, common after 60 years, You create the perfect recipe for a brain emergency. The longer you remain in a closed bathroom full of steam, the thicker your blood becomes, dense, circulating slowly through arteries that no longer have the same elasticity. This is the ideal scenario for forming microclots that can reach the brain in minutes. This is exactly what happened to Jose, a 71-year-old retired mechanic from Valencia. He had the habit of spending about 25 minutes in the shower every morning. The small bathroom, without windows, would soon become a dense cloud of steam. Jose believed that heat relieved his arthritis pain. But on one of those mornings, his wife heard a loud crash and ran. She found him on the floor, nearly unconscious, with lips turning purple from lack of oxygen. At the hospital, tests revealed several microclots that had formed due to the oxygen-poor environment combined with the pressure drop. Jose survived, but his memory was never the same. The steam that seemed so relaxing was actually silently suffocating his brain. This is a rarely discussed reality. Bathroom steam isn't just heat, it's a dangerous oxygen reduction that compromises the body's most important organ. Every minute in a closed, steam-filled environment is one more minute your aging circulation struggles to deliver oxygen to the brain. The recommendation is clear: keep your showers under 10 minutes and always ensure adequate ventilation. Open the window, use an exhaust fan, or leave the door slightly ajar. Never lock yourself in a cloud of steam thinking there are no risks, because damage may be occurring silently until it's too late. And if you think only hot, steam-filled showers are dangerous, the next habit will surprise you. It involves something many younger people defend as a healthy practice, but for those who've passed 60, it can be a real life-threatening risk. If up to this point you've perceived the dangers of water that's too hot, inappropriate timing, and long showers in closed environments, now I want to show you a habit that seems like the opposite. While many believe heat relaxes excessively, there are those who swear that extreme cold is the miraculous health solution. And in fact, it's impossible to open social media without seeing influencers, athletes, and even some young doctors recommending the famous cold showers. But attention, what might revitalize a 20-year-old body can become a risk sentence for someone who's already past 60. Dangerous habit number 4, abrupt exposure to cold water. When very cold water comes in contact with skin, blood vessels contract suddenly. It's a natural body reaction to cold, like an emergency brake. The problem is that this contraction shoots blood pressure up within seconds. In some cases, an increase of 40 to 50 points rapidly. In young people with flexible arteries, this increase is usually tolerated. But for those who already have hardened vessels, cholesterol plaques, or a heart that doesn't have the same strength as before, this thermal shock can be devastating. The pressure spike can cause micro-injuries to artery walls. And you know what the body does in response to those small injuries? It forms clots to try to repair the damage. The risk is that those clots break free and travel to the brain. I'll never forget the case of Javier, a 68-year-old man living in Zaragoza. He was always careful about his health, and after watching a program extolling cold therapy, he decided he'd start every day with a cold shower. In the first few days, he said he felt renewed, full of energy. But on one Monday morning, his wife heard a loud noise in the bathroom. She ran to see what happened and found Javier unconscious, unable to move the left side of his body. Tests showed a massive stroke. A clot formed during the pressure spike from the cold shower had traveled to his brain. What he believed was a healthy habit, almost an elixir of vitality, transformed into tragedy. This is the cruel irony. What energizes younger people can cost older people their lives. At 70, arteries no longer withstand such abrupt temperature changes. If you like to refresh yourself, do it gradually. Start with warm water and cool it down little by little, allowing your body to adapt. Never subject yourself to extremes. And as much as cold represents a risk, there's still one habit that's even more treacherous. Millions of people practice it every night believing they're caring for their body, when in reality, they're setting the stage for disaster. Dangerous habit number 5, showering very late before sleeping. For many, a hot shower before bed is almost a sacred ritual. The house is quiet, the day's stress seems to dissipate, and warm water seems perfect for relaxation. But for those who've already passed 60, this custom can be a silent trap. When you shower late at night, especially with hot water, your internal temperature rises. The problem is that at that hour, the body naturally tries to do the opposite, cool down to enter sleep rhythm. This conflict overloads the cardiovascular system. Blood is diverted toward the skin, away from vital organs, while you also lose fluids through perspiration, even without realizing it. For a young person, this situation is easily compensated. But for those who already use medications like antihypertensives or diuretics, the combination of dehydration and blood pressure drop during the early morning can be fatal. This is what happened to Carmen, an 82-year-old lady from Bilbao. She lived alone and had the daily habit of showering with hot water at 11 p.m. It was her moment of peace after a long day helping family. But one morning, her son noticed her weak voice on the phone. Upon arriving at her house, he found her confused, sitting on the sofa, unable to move her right hand. The diagnosis was clear. Carmen had suffered a stroke during the night. Tests showed she was dehydrated and with very low blood pressure. The shower that seemed to help her relax actually created perfect conditions for clot formation during sleep. Carmen survived but never fully recovered her autonomy. That's the cruel part of nighttime strokes. They occur while you sleep, giving no time to ask for help. What seemed like a simple wellness ritual can steal years of independence in silence. That's why my recommendation is simple. If you like to shower at night, do it earlier, at most until 8 p.m. This way, your body has time to return to equilibrium before sleeping. Also, don't forget to hydrate well after showering. Small changes like these can protect your brain precisely during the most vulnerable hours. After learning about these 5 dangerous habits, it's natural to feel some apprehension. Many might even think, "My God, I've always showered this way. Is it already too late?" I want to make something very clear. My objective here is not to cause fear, but to provide knowledge. Information is power. And when you know what really happens with your body after 60 years, you can adjust small daily details and protect yourself from risks that almost nobody mentions. Aging changes everything. The heart no longer beats with the same strength. Vessels become less elastic. Kidneys filter more slowly, and the brain becomes more dependent on a delicate balance between oxygen, blood flow, and blood pressure. That's why even a shower can become a challenge. But the good news is that small conscious changes make all the difference. These recommendations may seem simple, but they've already saved many people I've attended throughout my career. If any of these signs appear, don't wait. Seek help immediately. The faster a stroke is treated, the greater the chances of recovery. Just as I share sad cases of people like Maria, Antonio, Jose, Javier, and Carmen, who suffered the consequences of seemingly harmless habits, I've also followed stories of overcoming. I'll never forget Luis, a 70-year-old retiree living in Salamanca. He had the habit of showering with very hot water every night, but after attending a talk about the risks, he decided to change. He started showering shorter with warm water and always before 8 p.m. He also began opening the bathroom window for ventilation. Today, at 78 years old, Luis remains independent. He walks every day and often says, "These simple changes gave me almost an extra decade of healthy life." That's the other side I want you to see. It's not necessary to live in fear, but with awareness. Adjusting small details ensures you continue enjoying the shower as a moment of care and pleasure, not as a silent risk. I want you to understand something very important. Your body is too valuable to put at risk through carelessness. The shower can and should be a moment of self-care, as long as it's done the right way. In every decision you make, water temperature, timing, duration, ventilation, you're choosing between strengthening your health or exposing it to dangers. Aging doesn't mean losing quality of life. It means learning to respect the body's limits and adapting habits that previously seemed harmless. With this knowledge, you can continue living with independence, energy, and clarity for much longer. Now I want to ask you something. Leave in the comments if any of these 5 habits are part of your routine. This not only helps you reflect, but can also alert other people who read the comments. And of course, if this video has brought you value, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share it with someone you care about. Information like this can literally save a life. Take care of yourself, value your body, because every detail counts. And remember, a shower can be your moment of peace as long as it's done safely.